Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, especially if you're joining me for the second time today. Earlier I did post my review for Kringle Candle's Cherry Pie, which is sort of the partner candle to the one I'm going to be reviewing in this video, Bottle Rocket. Both of them will be launching tomorrow, May 22nd at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. I did a preview video last week with first impressions, so some of this might be a little bit familiar to you, and if you caught my earlier review today, you've already heard this spiel from me, but I have to give it every time. Full disclosure, I am a Kringle Candle ambassador, which is how I obtain these candles early ahead of the launch. Every once in a while, they allow ambassadors to pre-order fragrances, so they did not gift this to me. I did purchase it, but it was part of an ambassadors only pre-order. So I want to say thank you once again to Kringle for allowing us to have early access to these, to get reviews out there. And thank you to you guys. Anytime you use my code Simply Scented, I do get a small commission. So you get 15% off. I get a small commission, and then I take those little commissions, I save them away, and I use them towards purchases like this so I can get reviews and information out there for you guys, haul videos, things like that. It all goes right back into the channel. So thank you so much. And, you know, we're going to try to get right into this. If you are new to my channel, basically the format I'm going to be reviewing this in is I will give you Kringle's description of this fragrance, their scent notes. Then I will get into my interpretation, what it smells like to me, and the performance piece towards the end. This one, Cherry Pie, I had to kind of blend the performance piece into the review a little bit, but this one has been a little bit more consistent throughout the burn, so I will get more into the performance at the end. I will try to put chapters on this video if you're looking for anything specific. But getting on track here, we're going to get into our in-depth review here for Bottle Rocket, something that I think will be pretty popular here. I love the packaging. I love that label there. I love the whole Americana vibe, very summer and very fitting again with the fragrance. In Cherry Pie, I said the notes and the packaging and the scent all really are cohesive and match up. And I feel the same way here with this fragrance where everything just kind of aligns perfectly. So great job to Kringle on that. But let's get into these notes. Kringle's description here says, Bottle Rocket bursts with the carefree joy of a summer popsicle. Zesty citrus and juicy fruit lighting up the air like fireworks. Layers of orange, cherry, and raspberry swirl into a fizzy sweet blend finished with a sprinkle of sugar. It's pure summer nostalgia in a jar. We've got top notes here of fruit and citrus, mid notes of orange and cherry, base notes of raspberry and sugar. All right, so let's talk about Bottle Rocket. All right, if you followed my channel for any length of time, you've probably heard me say I'm not the biggest fan of fruity scents in general. What drew me into this candle, one is the packaging. I really love the packaging here. And two was the promise of a citrus element here. Because if I had to pick a favorite fruity note, it would probably be citrus, especially this time of year as we're heading into those hot summer days and you really want something sort of refreshing, something that's not super heavy. And I decided to take a chance on this one and it paid off. I am really enjoying this one. Even the non-citrus elements here, those more fruity pieces, I'm really enjoying more than I would have thought. So, you know, let's break down the fragrance. I mentioned before that it's really in keeping, you know, with the label here, with those firecracker pops on there. I know some companies make them slightly differently, but in general, you know, in my experience, the red portion is usually some sort of cherry flavor, then the white being a like lemon lime citrusy flavor to it, and then that blue either being a generic berry or a blue raspberry. For today's purposes and this candle, we're going to be talking blue raspberry. But we're going to back up just a little bit because we'll start with what I'm finding to be the most prominent fruity note and then kind of like break it down from there. So in my first impressions, I did say that I got a lot of cherry up front on cold sniff. And I would say that's been consistently the most prominent specific fruity note that I've gotten throughout this burn so far. On a quick side note here, I did find that the fragrance itself for Bottle Rocket has been pretty consistent from the start of this candle to where I have burned it to now, which I think you're looking at about the 6th burn here. I didn't get to burn it quite as long as cherry pie. And it's for that reason. Cherry pie I felt like needed more time to develop, and so I gave it a little bit more of my burn time. This being a little bit more consistent, I felt a little bit more comfortable going into this review with a little bit less of it burned. So this, this impression that I'm getting of this fragrance has pretty much stayed consistent through the candles. So I just wanted to note that, especially if you caught my earlier review of cherry pie, that'll make more sense. But getting back to that cherry note here, the way it's coming across to me, and this again could be different to every nose, this is coming across as a sort of candy maraschino, like a syrupy cherry. So if you think of those maraschino cherries, the really bright red ones with that thick, like, well, not thick, but that red syrup that they're in the jar, that's what this smells like to me. If it makes it more relatable to you, I guess you could kind of think of it like a grenadine syrup or a even a cherry snow cone syrup, something along those lines, but a syrupy cherry. It's not even like a hard candy cherry to me. It's definitely in that more juicy syrupy realm, but not your fresh juicy cherry, not your like Bing cherries, not the fresh cherries that you pick up at the grocery store. If you watched my cherry pie, that's a totally different cherry note. That's more into that fresh cherry. This is more that candied-like cherry. So for me, not medicinal, not cough droppy, not cough syrupy or anything like that, but it does have that sort of candied quality to it. And surprisingly, even though that is in itself sort of an artificial cherry note, I'm not finding it to be cloyingly artificial, if that makes sense. Like, it's not over the top. It still feels like a nicely done candy cherry syrup. Then let's take, even though it's at the bottom of the pop here, I feel like that blue raspberry piece kind of like melds itself just a little bit into that cherry piece, and then ultimately a little bit into that citrus piece. But I feel like that blue raspberry sort of comes next to me. The blue raspberry also being in that sort of like candied-like feel. I don't know about you guys. I don't really enjoy the flavor of blue raspberry so much as an adult as I did as a kid. As a kid, I loved it. So, that little bit of nostalgia is nice to me here with that blue raspberry note. I remember going to the drive-ins in the summer with those blue raspberry Charms blow pops, the ones that used to turn your entire mouth blue. That's what this brings me back to. I'm going to age myself a little bit with that drive-in movie reference. But yeah, if you think along the lines of those like candy, blue raspberry sort of flavor profiles, that's kind of what translates here into the scent. And it just kind of, it's not outshining the cherry, but it just kind of like weaves itself in a little bit, where I still feel like the cherry is most prominent, but that blue raspberry is there. Then you take all that and you kind of blend it into this really nice citrusy base. The citrus, they mention orange specifically. To me, it's like orange, but I also get a good amount of lime here, which I'm not mad about. I really like lime. I do get a little bit of a lemon here as well, like that sort of lemony lime where they kind of blend together those drinks and whatnot. But if you were to take a lemon lime drink and then mix in a little bit of orange, like a zesty orange here, that's kind of what I get here. But a really nice citrus blend, all those different sort of elements. It's not dominating as orange to me. It's not dominating as lime or lemon. It's just all kind of there, nicely blended and balanced together, making for a really nice fragrance. The interesting thing here is that even though you're taking all these sort of nostalgic, whimsy elements and, mixing them together, there's still this sort of air of sophistication to it, that the thing that makes it kind of like uniquely Kringle. I feel like all their fragrances, even when they have that sort of like childlike whimsy quality to them, they always have this little bit of an air of sophistication that keeps them, from going too far into that candy realm. That's what I get here. This sort of almost sugared finish just gives it a nice sort of, almost an icy tone. They say fizzy in the description. I don't really get a fizziness to it like a true effervescence, but it does have a slightly cool tone to it. Not overly iced, but there's just something cool about it. Just something nice and sophisticated, like something that even an adult, even an adult might, enjoy on a hot summer day. So just really nicely done here, really nicely balanced. Even though I feel like that cherry, comes out quite a bit, it is still nicely balanced with these other notes, still having their moment here in this fragrance. You might notice, because I get a little bit of this, where at certain times that cherry is front and center, but there's other times where that citrus piece picks up a little bit more. So, as you burn through the layers of this candle, of this fragrance, you might find that happens a little bit too, where sometimes, a certain piece comes out a little bit more than other burns. It comes down a notch. So just, this is just a really nicely done one. I'm really enjoying this fragrance altogether as a whole. And getting into the performance piece, this has been performing really nicely for me. I mentioned before, it's been consistent, fragrance-wise from the start to where we are now. I'm going to turn this for you a little bit just so you can see. I haven't had all that much in terms of soot accumulation. You can just see like a little bit up here towards the top of the jar. I would say this has been a little bit less sooty and a little bit less hot than cherry pie by comparison. I have also been trimming these wicks. I'm a big proponent of wick trimming. So for me, I always kind of follow a standard rule where after a few hours, especially if I'm going to do a longer burn, I will always give them a mid-burn trim, dip them down, give a quick trim, and then relight so that I can enjoy it without the flames getting too excessive or too sooty. And I have found that, this is burning at a really nice, even sort of pace here, not too hot, not dudding out as you can see it. You've got, good steady flames here and, just really nice in terms of burn quality and, everything I expect from Kringle. They usually have this nice burn. Really, I very rarely run into problems with Kringle burns. There are exceptions, but, very rare. So, in terms of strength, this is where it gets a little subjective. So I would put the overall intensity here, this to be around a 7. I did experiment one burn with this. I put it in a hurricane. And honestly, for this one, I didn't feel like it made a huge difference. Maybe bumped it up to like a 7.5, maybe an 8, depending on your home. But I really feel like this one has been able to kind of stand on its own. It hasn't needed the assistance of a hurricane as much as cherry pie did in that last review. So if you don't have a hurricane or you're looking for something that can kind of just stand on its own, I feel like this has been, a little bit better in terms of that performance. For reference, I do have an open concept area. I have high ceilings in my living room, open to a kitchen, and then kind of like a hallway that connects off of there. And in terms of the actual throw and ability for it to move itself around my space, I feel like this has traveled pretty well. I've mostly burned this in my kitchen, and I do get it into my living room area and then down the hall a bit. It is not a smack you in the face, heavy sort of scent. It's just kind of one of those that's light on the air, nice and flowy, and, really a good fit for those summer months. The only thing, as we get into the more humid time of year here and the humidity picks up in the air, sometimes that can affect your ability, your candle's ability to throw itself a little bit because that air becomes just a little bit thicker, a little bit heavy with that moisture in it. So, I'm hoping this will still hold up through those summer months, but for right now, it is doing very well. And, I have a lot of confidence in this one, to keep going with these results, through the remainder of the jar. So would I buy it again? Yeah, I'm thinking maybe I might. I'm kind of on the fence. I think, I really do enjoy it. It's just a matter of, I have so many candles and so little time. If you've seen all the candles I've been picking up in hauls recently, I have a lot of things I want to get to. So that's what holds me back more than the actual fragrance itself. Just speaking to that, I probably would buy this one again, without hesitation, just based on what I have experienced so far in the performance here and the scent. So If you are shopping tomorrow, I hope that helps you out a little bit deciding if you want to spend your money on this one. If you do and you want to save a little bit, you can always use my code Simply Scented. That will give you 15% off, and I thank you if you do choose to use that. But again, thank you guys for joining me for a second review on the day. I really appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to my channel if you want to get alerts for my videos in the future. As for what's coming up here, I really don't know. We're heading into a busy a couple weeks here in my house. We've got lots of baseball, softball. My littlest is graduating preschool, so we've got a lot coming up in the next week. So you might see a little bit of a lull in my content for another week or so, but definitely if you enjoy my stuff, make sure you subscribe because I will be back, I promise. So thank you guys once again for tuning in. I hope you like this review, and I hope you have a really great day and happy shopping tomorrow to all those who plan to partake. Have a good one.